Everyone in the city feared the mansion on the hill. It was the home of Victor Romano, the most feared mafia boss in the region. Men trembled at his footsteps. Rumors spread like wind about the blood on his hands, the power in his voice, and the empire he commanded through fear. Yet, hidden behind those stone walls, there was one thing even he could not control: his son. A child born into power, yet broken by the world he never asked to be part of. A little boy who spat in faces, threw objects, screamed, and sent every nanny away in tears. No one could touch him. No one, until she arrived, the maid who wasn't afraid to kneel beside a wounded heart rather than fear it, the maid who changed everything. The Romano mansion was unlike any other. Marble floors gleamed like ice, gold railings glowed beneath chandeliers, and armored guards lined the corridors as if war could happen at any moment. But in the center of that cold, magnificent palace lived a child, 5-year-old Elias Romano. Small, dark-haired, beautiful like carved porcelain, and completely unreachable. For months, nannies came and left. Some lasted a day. Some only an hour. They all tried: books, games, soft voices, strict tones, bribes. Nothing worked. Elias screamed at them, kicked them, spat at their faces with fury burning in his eyes. And each time a nanny left crying, the entire mansion trembled, because if Victor Romano heard his son was upset, consequences arrived like thunderstorms. The truth was whispered, but never spoken aloud. Elias wasn't born angry. He was born hurt. His mother had died when he was only 2 years old, and his father, too feared to show vulnerability, built an empire of iron walls, not tenderness. The boy grew up in silence and shadows, craving someone who would simply hold him and mean it. Then came Alina. Alina was not like the others. She didn't come from a polished agency or with an expensive resume. She came from a small village, carrying nothing but a worn suitcase and the memory of a mother she had lost young, just like Elias. She applied to be a maid, not a nanny. She didn't expect to care for a child. On her first day, she saw him, tiny, sitting in the corner of his grand playroom, fists clenched, breathing fast. A nanny stood trembling near the door, ready to quit. The child spat at her one last time and screamed, "Go away." The nanny ran. The mansion staff sighed. "He's impossible." But Alina walked forward, slow. Quiet. No fear in her steps. Elias glared at her, expecting the same reaction as always. Fear. Disgust. Anger. But she didn't leave. She knelt on the floor, sitting at eye level with him, not towering, not commanding, and then she whispered, voice soft like cool rain, "You're hurting, aren't you?" No one had ever spoken to him like that. Elias stared, confused, breath caught between tears and fury. Alina didn't try to touch him. Didn't lecture him. Didn't attempt to smile too quickly. She simply remained beside him in silence. Minutes passed, then Elias leaned forward, and instead of spitting, he placed a gentle kiss on her cheek. The room froze. The guards watching widened their eyes. Word spread across the mansion faster than any command. The boy had accepted someone. It didn't take long for Victor Romano to hear. When he entered the room, everyone bowed, trembling. But Alina stayed seated beside the child, her hand lightly resting near him, not holding, just present. Victor's eyes, cold as storm steel, studied her. "You're the first person he hasn't attacked." Alina looked up, voice steady. "He doesn't need discipline. He needs to be understood." Silence stretched between them, an unspoken challenge. For the first time, Victor didn't order. He listened. From that day, Alina became more than a maid. She became a lifeline. But peace never lasted long in the Romano household. In the shadows, enemies watched, and loving a mafia boss's child came with a price. The story was only beginning. One evening, Victor stood at the playroom door, watching his son sit in Alina's lap while she read to him. The boy's small hand curled softly around hers, head resting against her chest. He had not touched another human being willingly since his mother died. Something shook inside Victor. Something he had buried under power and blood. Later that night, Victor spoke softly to Alina in the library. "You have done what no doctor, no specialist, no teacher could," he said. "Tell me what you want." "Money. Position. A house. It's yours." Alina shook her head. "I don't want anything. I just want him to feel safe." Those words, no one had ever spoken to Victor with such sincerity, and for the first time in years, his voice softened. "Thank you." But happiness in a mafia family is never left untouched. One night, gunshots shattered the quiet. Alina rushed to shield Elias, holding him close, whispering safety into his shaking body. Victor stormed into the room, fury roaring like thunder, but paused the moment he saw her, protecting his child with her whole being. Elias clung to Alina, sobbing into her shoulder, and Victor understood. This woman was not just a maid, she was the mother his child had lost, the softness the house had forgotten, the light their darkness had needed. Days passed. Stability returned. And then one afternoon, Elias looked up at Alina and asked a question he had never spoken before: "Will you stay, forever?" Her eyes stung with emotion. "I will stay," she whispered, "as long as you want me to." He nodded, small but sure, and Victor, standing in the doorway, heard every word. From that day on, the Romano mansion changed, not into a place free of danger, but into a home where love dared to exist. Elias no longer spat. He no longer feared touch. He learned to trust. To smile. To hope, all because someone chose to kneel beside his pain instead of fear it. Sometimes the strongest heart is not the one that stands tall, but the one that kneels to understand another. Love does not always come loudly. Sometimes, it begins with a quiet presence and the courage to stay.